Counting is underway in Kenya after general elections, with the country poised to choose a successor to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Amid concerns about the high cost of living and corruption, the ballot has been mostly peaceful, with some delays and organizational problems. But what's the latest analytical picture that's emerging from that race? And what's the extraordinary backstory and twist that has gripped Kenyans through the campaigns? Well, for more of this, I'm joined now in the studio by Professor Tunde Esan, Professor of International Relations with a focus on the history of African elections and democratic developments on the continent. He's also the former Secretary to the Nigerian Governors Forum. Thank you very much indeed for coming in and for being patient with us. Help us understand the emerging results from Kenya's presidential elections, mostly peaceful, though some delays, counting now well underway. What's the latest picture that's emerging from that race as you see it?
The election that I heard yesterday is quite interesting. It has its own historical background, and it's turning out to be, as predicted, a tight race between Raila Odinga and William Ruto of United Democratic Alliance. And what we are witnessing is a very interesting picture, particularly coming from Kenya. Kenya is one of the leading countries in Africa, the third biggest economy in sub-Saharan Africa. You know, it embodies one of the greatest attributes of Africa, particularly events preceding their independence in 1963, led by Jomo Kenyatta, whose son, interestingly, Uhuru Kenyatta, is the present president, under which William Ruto is serving. What I'm saying essentially is that the picture in Kenya might be a plus or minus for the entire African continent when it comes to democratic development, you know, and enhancements, as it were.
Right, and of course, just looking at the results that are coming through and the things that they have to go through. I mean, it does seem, doesn't it, like there are so many margins to cross to be able to declare outright full-on victory, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You must have minimum of 50% of the votes, you understand? None of them has been able to cross the line as at today, as at this time when we are talking, you know, between William Ruto and Raila Odinga. And don't forget, there are two other gentlemen, quite
who are eating away at the votes as well.
Eating away at the votes, you know. You have David Wahiga of Agano Party and George Wagaruya of Roots Party of Kenya. So eating away at it is quite is interesting.
And thinking of previous elections in Kenya, I mean, this new system that they're using seems quite efficient, doesn't it? I mean, Kenyan news sites are putting out results and the tally in real time, and you don't actually have to wait so much for the official results to have a good idea of what's going on. Yeah.
Kenya is actually developing with the latest in technology, and it is quite commendable that, look, you can get most of the result real time, as it were, and that's what we're witnessing. Remember that they have gone through a lot, you understand, 2002 election, 2007 election, 2008 election, 2017 election, you know, with a lot of crisis behind them. But it's a nation that is resilient, you understand. About 60% of the population under 35 years of age, quite ebullient, quite active age, and the inspiring set of people out there.
And perhaps most importantly, there is a sense of transparency in the process this time, isn't there? And I mean, that is important in allaying concerns about opaqueness in the process or issues of irregularities. In that regard, is there a general sense that the Electoral Commission in Kenya, the IEBC, has conducted this election credibly?
The Kenya Electoral and Boundary Commission has done that. That's what they have done. And it is commendable, like we rightly said. You cannot dispute the fact that, you know, in 2017, the Kenyan democracy showed how resilient it is when it is when the Supreme Court annulled the election, you know, cancelled the election, which was actually one of the major points for Kenyan democracy, not only in Africa but the entire world. And there was a rerun between Raila Odinga and the President Uhuru Kenyatta, which Raila boycotted, and Uhuru became the president. So if you look at those antecedents, you understand the Electoral Commission cannot afford to do anything less.
Absolutely. And there is this extraordinary backstory, isn't there, that we had mentioned, that the previous guest had referred to, of President Kenyatta supporting his longtime fierce rival Raila Odinga in this race in preference to his own Vice President William Ruto. What do you make of that? Is Mr. Kenyatta likely to sway voters in favor of Mr. Odinga?
It has its own historical antecedent. Most people don't know that Oginga Odinga, the father of Raila Odinga, you understand, was actually a vice president to Jomo Kenyatta when the country became independent in 1963. So both of them were very young. That everybody is talking about Baba Odinga now, but they were very young. So they have been family friends for more than 60 years. You understand? So they have been, what separated them was the fact that both of them were contestants when Arap Moi said, look, he is supporting Uhuru Kenyatta in favor of any other person in 2002 under the new constitution. You understand? When Uhuru was very, very young, and there was this division when Raila said, look, I am out in the race. The division went on to 2007, 2017, and eventually they agreed. There was an handshake in 2018. So looking at it, it appears one of the stooges and one of the boys of a young man in 1992, William Ruto, is a newcomer to the fold. The dynasties have, they have come back to say, look, why are we fighting ourselves? We have one country. And let me tell you the truth. Those are strong historical figures, the father of the two gentlemen. They have a stake in, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. And Kenya has shown for a very long time that their democracy is quite resilient without a military coup since 1963. That's a real...
That's a fascinating story you just told, and the way you told it, absolutely gripping. And it's interesting, isn't it, that 3 of the 4 main candidates have female running mates. Is that just lip service being paid to the idea of women being more visible politically, or is that really meaningful traction there? Because women representation in Kenya is much less, isn't it, compared with the rest of the region, where Tanzania has more than 30%, for example, and Rwanda is leading with more than 60%.
Under the amended constitution in 2002 up to 2007, there's a provision that, look, not more than 2/3 of all those who win the election, those who are contesting, must be of the same sex. In other words, about 20%, about 25% of all the seats are actually reserved. 47 seats, you understand, in the National Assembly, and about 12 seats in the House of Senate which is just about 47. So it is not by mistake. It has its own basis in the evolving democracy that we're witnessing in Kenya, a tradition that is very strong, and a new line of thinking, at least when it comes to inclusion, you understand, diversity, especially in representation. So it's not just by accident.
So what's your best prediction then of the outcome of this presidential election in Kenya?
As I was coming here, it's quite difficult. At the point in time William Ruto was leading, you know, that the hustler in chief who are carrying the young people all along, but like I said, the dynasty, the oligarchs are watching events closely, and I don't know what's going to happen. But as I come in, about 70 or 75% of the election, the votes have been counted, but no official result, no final result. But it's going to be very tight and interesting. Whoever wins actually deserves to win. If William Ruto wins, I commend him, because he said, I'm the hustler in chief, you understand, carrying the young people around, trying to upstage about close to 70 years of a political dynasty. It will be very interesting.
Fascinating, isn't it? And do you see any similarities to Nigeria?
Yes. What I say in Nigeria is that we keep learning from one ourselves. The diversity in Kenya is almost similar to Nigeria. You understand? When a Kenyan speaks, you think a Nigerian is speaking. Like I said, one of the more fascinating countries in Africa with a strong democratic credentials without military coup. We have a lot to learn from Kenya, and I believe that the outcome of the election might be very fascinating and interesting to the political actors in Nigeria.
I want to thank you very much indeed, Professor Tunde Esan, Professor of International Relations with a focus on the history of African elections and democratic developments on the continent. He's also the former secretary to the Nigerian Governors
Secretary
Forum.
of Former Governors Forum in Nigeria.
Former Governors Forum.
Governors Forum.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja and elsewhere. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.